Hello, dear students. Good morning to everybody. You are most welcome in English, Literature and Grammar class. Dear students, today we are going to enjoy the famous sonnet, Death Be Not Proud. Is written by famous metaphysical poet Donne. This poem is written in the form of sonnet form. As I have already told you many times, sonnet is a short poem of 14 lines and which is based on a particular theme. There are three types of sonnet: Petrarchan sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets, and Spenserian sonnet. This poem is a Petrarchan sonnet. First of all, we try to know about the John Donne. John Donne was the most metaphysical poet. During early 17th century in England, John Donne was also known as the religious poet. He was in early in early in his early stage. He was much interested in women, and so his poems are also known as the love poems. In later stage of his life, he wrote, yeah, we can say, in other words, he became a religious poet and teacher, and like a saint. So, John Donne is known for his best and novel ideas. He is also known as the main representative. Here we can say he is the leader of metaphysical poets, and the best contributions to the English literature was his metaphysical poetry. The writing pattern and his thoughts are novel and unique. So, John Donne and his metaphysical poets were more famous during the in the century in 17th century in England. Dr. Johnson says about these metaphysical poets are the men of learning, and to show their talent was the main purpose of their life and their poetry. The present sonnet has been taken from holy sonnets which were written in 1609 but published in 1633. Now let us start this sonnet, and this is a religious sonnet. This sonnet, in this poem, Donne addresses directly to the death and asks her why she is so proud of its might and dreadful, because he presents his logic that death is nothing to be fear. So we start this poem. As I have already told, this sonnet is a Petrarchan sonnet, and in Petrarchan sonnet, the 14 lines are divided into two parts. First 8 lines, as is, it is also called as octave part, and last 6 lines is also known called sestet part. In we are studying octave part. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou think thou dost overthrow, die not, for death, nor it can thou kill me. Death. The first word tells us that poet addresses to death directly. Be not proud. He he says, death, that it should not be proud, though some have caught thee. Although some people, some person have called thee, people give importance its might and dreadful. Some people some people call death mighty and dreadful, powerful and terrified. So for thou are not so, but thou means death is not so. But there is nothing to fear about the death, because it is not mighty and dreadful. Now we can again try to explain it. Death, be not proud, thou some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. He directly addresses to death. He says to death not to be proud, or its might and dreadfulness. Although some person consider death as it is as death is mighty and dreadful, it means some person give importance to that for its might and dreadfulness. But it is not so in the case of death. It means death is not mighty and not dreadful. For those whom thou think you does overthrow, die not. For those people, the people whom thou think, whom do you think, whom you think thou does overthrow. Overthrow means to kill. The persons whom you think that you death has killed them, but die not, but they really don't die. Point want to say, and suggest to death that death think that it kills the persons, but it never kill them, and such persons are never killed by death. Poor death nor yet can you kill me. He calls death poor, because death is not mighty and dreadful, it is poor and powerless. He challenges, he gives challenge to death that death cannot kill him. Poet personifies death and he calls death powerless and poor. If death think that she can kill the persons, but the persons were really never die, because they only they get rest their body and free from their soul, and they make their soul from their bodies. So, and it is also known that the persons who have died died after death, they also remembered they were also remembered for their goodness, so they never die, but they always alive in the heart of their relatives and their well wishers, and in the hearts of their well wishers. So poet Donne makes death powerless, and he indirectly suggests us not to fear from the death. There is nothing to be fear about death. Death is not mighty and dreadful. It is nothing, but it takes it makes our body in rest, and by death our soul takes rebirth, and soul can never and soul our soul is never dies. Soul is immortal and eternal, so eternal soul can never killed by the death. And we can say that our physical body is just like a old cloth which is removed by our soul. So death is nothing. Death has nothing to be proud of on itself. If we talk about the rhyming scheme, the show through me, the first lines, the word of the last word of the first line, the and the fourth line's last word me are in rhyme, and the second and third line are also in rhyme. So A B B A. A B B A is the rhyming scheme of this part, and each line is written in iambic pentameter, and we, here is death is also personified. So this is the best example of personifications. Now we come the other four lines of octave part. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure then from thee much more must flow, and soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bonds and soul's delivery. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be. Don't want to say that rest and sleep are only the copies and pale imitations of death. It means rest and sleep give us pleasures and comforts. So, like rest and sleep, death is also give us pleasures and comfortness. So we can say just as in just as sleep give us rest to our body, and after sleep when we rise we feel praise ourselves. So death is but much pleasure. Poet says, much pleasure, then from thee must flow. Much pleasure and comfort flows from the death. It means death is the greater source of pleasure to the body and to us. Although he want to say that the rest and sleep give us pleasure, peace and comfort to us and our body and our mind. But death is the greater source of pleasure more than rest and sleep. Because after death we find ourselves in the heaven where there is nothing kind of pains, sufferings in the heaven. So we can say, and there in the heaven there is no any kind of fear of death. So death makes our body eternal rest, and it also releases our soul from our body for forever. So he calls death. He says that death is the greater source of pleasure. And soonest our best men with thee to go. Soonest the persons who die in young age are the best men and best loved by the God. Some persons die in their young age, so they get heaven very soon. And it is said, and it is also famous proverb that the young dies persons are much loved by the God. So the persons who die in young age are best men and are best loved by the God. They got eternal life, they get eternal life in early age, so they live the life of great pleasure than the persons who live of long life. Rest of their bones and souls delivery. Rest of their bones, it means the young diers, young die persons makes their body rest in early age, and their soul are freed from their bodies, and soul takes take place in the heaven, which is the great source of pleasures. So in these four lines, poet says that death is nothing more than a sleep, but a greater source of pleasure than even the sleep. So we need not to be terrified from death, but we welcome death. And he also presents a logic that the persons who die in their young age are also best loved of God and get even in very small age. So they are very lucky persons. The rhyming scheme is be, flow, go, delivery. First and fourth line are in rhyme, and second and third are also in rhyming flow, go. So here also A B B A, and each line is written in iambic pentameter, and the best rhythmic words are also used in these lines: rest and sleep, and Rest of their bonds and soul's delivery is also appreciable and remarkable, and the poet's logic about the death is highly admirable because it is the idea about the death which was presented by the poet is really novel, was really novel and unique because in modern times, in every ages, every person operates of death, and every moment man lead a life of afraid from death. He has to pass the death. So poet points out that there is nothing of fear in the death. We should welcome the death and not to fear from it. So that's okay for today. Thank you.